Video games are more than a toy. They're a communication medium.
What we're measuring on the forehead is something called EMG.
Produced a video of their own that examines the impact these games are having.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Many kids are addicted to them. The more violence, the better. And guess what?
But they're not going to go away. Video games are here to stay.
That's one of the reasons why SFU grad student Brent Stafford wanted to explore the impact that video games are having. For his master's thesis, he produced a one-hour documentary called Insert Coin, the culture of video game play.
It's targeted to actual video gamers, people that are a part of this youth culture. So I had to structure my arguments within the documentary to not preach to them. The idea was to get kids to think critically about video game issues, but without dismissing the importance of video games to youth culture.
After repeated exposure over extended periods of time, players become no longer shocked by extreme levels of violence, and subsequently, they develop an emotional numbness to the act of killing.
The documentary includes the findings of SFU communication professor Stephen Klein, who's wrapping up a 3-year research project on video gaming.
It's fair to say that video games do encourage addictive behavior by children. And I think it's also fair to say that video games do encourage a certain sense of isolation. Kids, heavy gamers, play hours every day before school. They'll play at lunch. They'll play after school. And they tend to give up activities in their lives to play video games.
And the documentary concludes that a video game is much more than just a game.
Video games are a communication medium, and they're not always thought that way. They're thought of being just a game, but they're not. There's things that are embedded in the play experience that kids interact with.
Stafford is now looking for a place to air his documentary. He's hoping broadcasters or educators will be interested. Mike Killeen, Global News, Vancouver.
And my next guest is a television producer. He recently documented the effects of video gaming on kids with some startling results.
There's a chainsaw, there's a handgun, there's a super shotgun and a normal shotgun.
7-year-old Stefan Gander is playing Doom, and at his young age, he is extremely susceptible to the desensitization effects of violent gaming.
So why do you like the chainsaw so much?
It's so fun to kill everyone with. When you have God mode on it, it's especially really fun.
Really, really fun. So I'd like you to say hello to Brent Stafford. He's the producer of Insert Coin.
Hello. It was such a dynamic topic to do, coming from a television background, looking for something to do for my master's thesis instead of doing something more traditionally academic in terms of using print-based medium to talk about an issue. Yes. I wanted to do something with television, and video games are perfect topic to put on TV. Video games their lifespan has been at the exact same time that our entire culture has been accelerating and becoming increasingly more violent in terms of representation in the media. One thing I think everybody should realize is that this sort of fascination we have as a culture with violence is not something that's specific to video games. We've had it throughout our history.
What we have to do as a culture when it comes to video games is to realize that video games are no longer a toy. Video games are not a toy. Video games are an extremely powerful communication medium that basically have usurped the power of television and film and radio because it's a synergistic, interactive kind of a medium. So in terms of dealing with video games as a problem in our lives, we have to first no longer think of them as just an entertainment vehicle. The other thing we need to remember about video games is that video game developers, when they're designing a game, they have all their marketing strategies already figured out when they're making the game. So look at Pokemon. Pokemon has 150 different characters in it, so there can be 150 different cards. It has 150 different characters, so there can be 150 different dolls. And all the marketing strategies of the movie and all that kind of stuff is designed when the game is being designed. So that's what makes video games so sinister in a way in terms of their marketing strategies, because every aspect of their marketing has been thought out. Every avenue of synergy between all the other kinds of media that video games can bring into their product happens at the point of conception when it comes with the video game. And that's what makes their ability to target to kids so strong and what makes it a $17 billion a year business.
Do you know where your kids are? They could be playing video games, and if you're a parent, you may be interested in what Brent Stafford has to say. For his master's thesis, this SFU graduate student decided to examine the video game industry and the effect it's having on children. And in this hour-long documentary titled Insert Coin, Stafford went straight to the source.
Who would say then that video games are addictive?
Kids are reporting they feel addicted to games. And that's really important to focus on because it's what the kids are telling us.
And kids who are playing video games are not only feeling addicted, they're becoming more isolated and are numb to shockingly violent scenes.
It makes you have a goal and stuff to hurt the person. Hurt them harder. Because like normally it would be like either racing or hurting on a person, because what else would you have?
What you have to do is you have to do more than look at the box. You have to do more than watch the first 5 minutes of a game, because games never get really good until you start really getting deep into the game. So if you're concerned about what your kids are playing and you want to know what they're playing, wait till they've been playing the game for a while and then watch what they're playing.
Now, more than ever, it seems this is the time to watch what your children are playing. Lisa Rossington, VTV News.
So with more on this, joining us now, Brent Stafford, who of course created the documentary, The Culture of Video Gameplay. Brent shot, wrote, edited, narrated, and produced the project as a master's thesis in communication. Stafford spent 2 years on the story and shot about 80 hours of video. Also joining us, Quinn Duffy. Quinn is a video game designer. He works at Relic Entertainment. What do you think, video games violent, but what about TV and movies? Do you think it's different if it's an interactive source?
The research out of SFU, led by Dr. Stephen Klein, really shows that video games do have a greater impact when it comes to desensitization, because the thing is that they're more interactive. The kids are interacting with the play experience. They're the ones that are deciding to pull the trigger. They're the ones that are deciding, to kill somebody. So it makes the experience a little bit more problematic than just absorbing something when you're watching television or film.